Hi buddies, and welcome to today's video. So I recently posted a video where I spoke a bit about the modules I had to take in my first year as a biomedical engineering student, and in that video I promised I would film a part 2 where I talk about the modules I took in my second year of biomedical engineering. And of course, please do remember that the curriculum is subject to change from year to year. The course is obviously going to evolve over time, and I'm just telling you what I got from my own experience. The first module that I'm going to be talking about is called Biomedical Systems Design and Project Management. So this module was kind of similar, almost like a continuation of Key Skills for Biomedical Engineering taught in part 1. During this module we actually collaborated with another course, which was really fun, and it was very insightful to work with different people from a different background. And during this project we got to work using Raspberry Pis. We were taught a lot about documentation as well, so keeping a logbook of what we were doing was very important. And we had a module called Signal Processing, and it is very important as a biomedical engineer or as an engineer in general to be able to analyze signals. In the case of biomedical engineering, for example, we receive a lot of signals from machinery. For this module we had weekly tutorials where we practiced the methods and the material taught to us in class. It was quite mathematical. So another important module for biomedical engineers is Biocybernetics. Now, during Biocybernetics we learn a lot of concepts such as control theory, making sure a system is stable and it won't lead to any dangerous outcomes. We did a bit of machine learning. We did a lot of coding in MATLAB. We had a module called Sensors and Transducers. Once again, this is a very important module for biomedical engineering as we deal a lot with sensors. So like, for example, there's blood monitor sensors, or you might receive input from ECG or EEG electrodes. Yeah, so we learnt about the different types of sensors and transducers and when to use them. We also had 3 labs where we got to work with different types of transducers each time. So the next module that I'm going to be talking about is called Introduction to Bioinformatics and Computational Biology, and in my opinion this was probably the most well organised module of second year. Each week we had a 2-hour lecture where 1 hour we focused on the field of bioinformatics, and then in the second hour we learned more about the programming side of it. We were taught to code in Python. We also had a practical actually applying the coding that we learnt, and every week we had a multiple choice quiz. We also did a bit of protein structure, prediction and modelling, which was something very different. I've never done anything like that before. Next up we have fundamentals of neuroscience. Yeah, so we had lectures based on the anatomy of the nervous system, and in the second part of the module we learned more about its biomedical applications. So for example, a lot of amputees suffer from phantom limb pain, and these patients used mirror therapy to overcome this pain. A recent development is that scientists are using virtual reality or augmented reality to help patients overcome phantom limb pain, which I think is incredible and so interesting to look into. Next up I'm going to be talking about digital and embedded technology. So in this module we did a lot of programming in C language. We learned how to code external devices. So you know how games like PlayStation and Xboxes have a controller with a joystick and some buttons, and we had to develop an app for a wearable device using this controller. So those are the core modules. We also had a few optional ones. So for the optional modules, I took biologically inspired computing and natural and artificial robotics. So in biologically inspired computing, we were taught about various techniques used in computing inspired by nature. So for example, if you want to look these up, we spoke a bit about artificial bee colony, we spoke about artificial neural networks and deep learning, a few optimization algorithms. It was a very challenging module, but the content was so interesting that it made it worth it, and the lectures were also very engaging as well. Next up, natural and artificial robotics, which is probably one of my favourite modules that I took this year, if not my favourite. So it was really fun. We got to use the 3D printer. We were split up into groups and we had to create a robot. My team made a 4-legged walker. We got to do the modelling for it and get it 3D printed. We used little motors called dynamixels to make it walk, and they were coded using MATLAB. Those were all the modules I took. There were also 2 other modules available, medical applications of physics and clinical biomedicine. I can't talk about those modules because I didn't take them. If you want to find out more about the modules, I would definitely recommend going onto the module description page. If you put into Google University of Reading module descriptions, there should be a page that pops up with descriptions of the different modules. That concludes today's video. It was a bit chatty, it was potentially a bit longer than the normal video that I post, but I hope you enjoyed it. If you're interested in biomedical engineering or would like to chat about university or anything, don't hesitate to message me on the Unibody platform, and yeah, I will see you hopefully in my next video. Bye!